very important because uh, anger impacts judgment and decision making, the responses we make. So in one of the Harvard study, it's very aptly mentioned, anger is like a fuel in the fire. So it's already very vulnerable situation, and then we get angry, and then it's like adds to the fire.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of The Angry Coach. Today, I have with me Sunil Sharma, uh, and I'm extremely excited as I am sharing more about Sunil's profile. He's been a Navy veteran, and from Navy, he's then moved on to a 20 fantastic years of in the manufacturing sector. He's been a consultant, he's been a change agent, and driving digital transformation across so many organizations that he's been involved in. At the moment, he is leading digital transformation and focusing on the EMEA region. Sunil, welcome to our podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Vivek. It's a pleasure to meet you. Yeah, and really, I should congratulate for this initiative, which would, I guess, benefit millions of young leaders by getting exposed to such a diverse views and aspects by all your speakers. I heard few of the podcasts. These are fantastic, and I'm glad being part of this initiative.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Sunil. As I get started, I have a question for you.
Yeah,
And my
please.
question to you is what makes you angry?
Yeah, that's very interesting question. So let me. It's very interesting, and I'm saying so because actually I'm trying to learn wonder instead of getting angry. So I'm wondering why people act the way they act, which in past perhaps used to make me angry, and perhaps even now I've not mastered it. So to answer to your question, I would say I wonder why people get angry in most vulnerable situations, whereas we should be doing the opposite of this, taking a deep breath, trying to calm down, and then respond or make a judgment or decision. And second thing I again wonder is why people may make boundaries of what they can do, what they can't do. From my naval training and experience, I've learned we can do wonders, we can do much beyond what we think we can do. So I would say, it's not sky is the limit. I would say it's mind is the only limit.
This is such a fascinating thing. And thank you so much for introducing this term called wonder versus angry. I think it's so apt. And let me pick up the first one. Why do people get angry in their most vulnerable situations, right? And I think I am also guilty of that. Whenever I am at a vulnerable place, I would generally get angry versus trying to remain calm.
Yeah.
Um, any observations, any learnings on this one?
Yeah, definitely I can share because I'm into it. I've been practicing and trying to, as I said, trying to do this, and trying to also read a lot from scientific perspective. So I can share like some things which I learned, which is
Right.
helping me. So it's not like your fault, Vivek, when you say we get into this angry situation when we are in those vulnerable situations. The reason behind this is, first of all, why I started trying to practice this and at least think over this rather than getting angry, wonder part of it. It's a kind of a anger management technique, and it's a really life practice actually. To be frank, it's now we can use that as a anger management practice, but it should be the way of way of thinking, the way of life. And it's very important because anger impacts judgment and decision making, the responses we make. So in one of the Harvard study, it's very aptly mentioned, anger is like a fuel in the fire. So it's already very vulnerable situation, and then we get angry, and then it's like adds to the fire. And again, as I said, it's nobody's fault. It's how we are wired, how how like it's anger creates stress. So a lot of psychologists have done this research. Neuroscientists are working to get to the root cause of this and trying to find the solutions. But prima facie, it's like what happens is when how to put it, it triggers anger. Anger is a response, kind of a response to the situations to which we are not in the control. And losing control creates that anger. And then anger creates stress. And as soon as we get into that stress situation, our neural circuits who are responsible for all this conscious self-control, etc., they get highly vulnerable, even to the mildest like stress situations. And when that happens, there is a complete shutdown. There is a primal impulses which go unchecked, and there is a kind of a situation of mental paralysis which sets in. And these primal impulses are very dangerous.
There is a primal impulse, and that paralyzes our thinking process. Is that right?
Right. So, like, there are two parts of the brain. One is like our big brain or the logical brain, which we must be using, or we assume that we are doing things with our logical brain. But in most of these fear, threat, anger situations, our old brain, which is small, which is like coded with all the primal impulses, that sets into action.
And that basically freezes us to a certain extent, stops all action from happening.
Yeah, stops actions from happening and makes us act or react to things in very primal way, like fight or flight. And being egoistic, perhaps instead of flight, we choose, our mind chooses to fight back, and which is dangerous.
Which is dangerous. So true. So
Yeah.
true. Now, I'm very curious, Sunil, and I really wanted to ask you this question. What made you start researching this area or getting deeper inside this area so much more than any of us? All of us get angry, but none of us kind of study it the way perhaps you have studied it. So tell us more about your journey in this.
Yeah, I can say people learn from their mistakes, right? So yeah, so yeah, and also I'm a bit of a curious and a learner in psychology, like in general, the studies of behavior and all, being in multicultural environment and being in leadership positions and interacting with so many people. So basically, it's all like what we do as leaders and like transformers, change makers. We need to understand the motivations of people, how they act, right? And how we can make them act to make the big changes we want them to make. It's many times these big transformations are really like technology is just one part which is enabling it, but every change comes with resistance. So to to make this change and to be a change maker, a change agent, a transformer. These are very important aspects to take care of. So perhaps that's one reason uh, why I'm into it a little bit. But as I said, perhaps the big triggers come from these very personal situations. And I can I can share a story with you, my example, who really, I was already trying to understand this, but then it kind of stuck to me that we really need to manage our impulses and anger, and try to see, and good way of kind of dealing with this is trying to understand the others aspects, or means to understand. Nobody actually uh, wants to react or act in illogical manner, or in a bad way. Everybody is doing the what they are doing from their angles, right? So understanding, being that what's the word, being compassionate towards people towards whom you would rather get angry in those situations, and try to understand why, like wonder why, means there must be a reason. So trying to this gives us a plenty of time and aspect to understand, and also uh, be more in control of our situation, in our impulses, in our responses, etc. Yeah, so the story goes like this. And this has happened, like I've been into many of such situations in my early career, just out of the Navy, very excited to make changes and all that, and out of college, and everything which seems not right based on your way, means when you are coming, this should not be like this, and you want to make change. There comes many times I've been into situations where perhaps I could have had very negative impacts of those, but so far none. But I'll share an experience, very specific one, where because of uh, this impulsive response in a situation which perhaps I could not read the way I did it later on. So with one of my boss in my career sometime many years ago, because of this impulsive response, I landed in a situation which was quite catastrophic, kind of a career threatening situation. So where, because of the situation on the other side, perhaps my boss, I learned later on, was in very stressful situation himself, very tough position, and that multiplied by my impulsive response escalated situation by multitude, uh, by a lot. And then it helped. So as I said, I'm trying already for many years, and this learning and listenings and readings, immediately then when situation escalated at that level, I realized no. So this escalation needs to be managed. Conflict and escalation needs to be managed. And then I was into like a pause, and then thinking what I said, like, okay, why this person is doing like this and all that. And then, oh yeah, so getting into, sometimes maybe forcibly yourself, sometimes it might feel like you're faking it, but you might have to start with there. But then it dawns to you that, oh yeah, means the way or perhaps the impulse was okay, but we are not in control of other things. So other person is perhaps not as learned as you are in terms of understanding all these dynamics or all this like how all the things happen and escalation. So then I had to manage that, and very as soon as it dawned to me that yeah, it needs to be de-escalated and managed, and then it also gave me a window to look into the other side's view, and then we managed very well, and then actually my boss appreciated the kind of insights I brought during this later part of it. And so that's a story which, when you ask what made, then from then onwards, like it became a part of life with everyone. You can do, and if you want to practice, and if you're married, you can practice this in your married life.
I think spoken for a lot of us on that aspect.
Yeah, yeah,
Thank you for sharing. Sunil, I'm going to change gears a little bit over here.
yeah.
And I'm extremely fascinated by your own journey as well, from the Navy on to the corporate life, and then over there being a digital transformation leader, a change maker for organizations. Right? What have also, I understand, helping the industry move towards Industry 4.0, right? Tell us a little bit more about this work. What are some gaps you are seeing in the organizations, and what are companies doing to overcome this?
Yeah, yeah, nice. So, as being a digital transformer, I'm very happy to talk about it. I tried to like be away from this topic, but thank you, Vivek, bringing this up. Uh,
Mm,
yeah, so currently, as we all know, with all sustainability and the topic of carbon dioxide and all these dangerous gases and all pollutants and climate change and all, industry is going through a very transformative phase, and this journey which is called industry 4.0, it came before the sustainability focus, but it's very connected. These two topics are very connected, because if we can improve productivity with using less of resources from energy perspective or whatever, we can drastically reduce our carbon footprint. Right, so industry is going through that, and you have seen the world different summits happening on this topic, and they are acting. And so currently, especially I come from manufacturing industry, especially discrete manufacturing industry. There are process industries where a lot of automation has happened already for decades, and for many decades already. And now things are moving into a creating a for this productivity to test things virtually. Industry is working on leveraging digital twins. So we have physical things, we have physical products, we have physical plants,
right.
manufacturing, assembly plants, and all these machines and all. And it takes a lot of long time, and a lot of cost goes into things when things are needs to be tested physically first, and everything. It's not right first time. There are so many factors, and something needs to be changed, and then again the whole design goes and all. So industry is moving towards leveraging more of a digital twin and a digital thread across the whole value chain. Right, so that the time to market, to bring product into the market, gets faster, and there's a reduced cost. So that's what industry is working on nowadays. And main drivers towards digital transformations are the very, like, not even a decade, 5 years ago, the technologies like Internet of Things, IoT, we call it in short, cloud. So the computing power in cloud, for example, our podcast is being recorded on a cloud solution, Riverside now, right? You're
Right,
using, so
right,
it's a
right.
software as a service which is enabled by the cloud technology. So the whole of this technology, the artificial intelligence, which can learn by itself from a lot of data which is already available. So that's where industry is moving, and slowly different use cases which are very directly related to industry. For example, reducing maintenance costs, predictive maintenance, even before a breakdown happens and stops the whole of the production, and a lot of losses can be made. Those are industries leveraging those technologies, and yeah, lot of productivity enhancements happening because of this.
Hmm. Hmm. That's very fair. And we had the industry 2.0, and then we had a 3.0, and now we are looking at a 4.0. And what I'm also hearing from you is sustainability is being brought up in a very big way in the 4.0. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, definitely. It's the next,
Hmm.
like Industry 4.0 was like foundation. It started already many years ago, and now I see that that's the enabler of sustainability topic now. So
It's an
if we have to,
enabler towards sustainability.
yeah,
Hmm.
so
Sorry, you're
digital
saying.
transformation is enabler to the sustainability topic. We are, for
Excellent.
example, we are working on products which can help estimating the carbon footprint even before products are designed and produced. So estimating them and bringing this topic already in design side of it, so that optimization and reduction can happen.
Fantastic. As an advice to other professionals, Sunil, what are some leadership lessons or leadership thoughts that you would like to share with our audience?
Yeah, so we have already discussed about the wonder and not get
Yes,
get angry. I don't know
yes.
if you would like to change your angry coach or wondering coach,
I
but
will need to wonder about that.
yeah, yeah. But so that's one thing. It Anger management is a big faculty in leadership trainings and leadership quality. So, in very toughest of the times, if you can manage your anger, you are the great leader. So, I would say to all the budding young leaders to work on that anger management, because uh, anger stops our logical mind and gets into that primal, and it's not good. The second thing which we did not touch much about was this mind is the only limit part. So for all the listeners and audience of your podcast, I would say, like, try try things which are beyond your comfort level. Maybe not drastically. It means if you don't want to take big risks and all, try doing things which are outside your comfort zone, but perhaps a little in adjacent to your topics, areas, your capability, and thereby enlarging your uh, perspective, enlarging your area of expertise, etc. So because
So
once we
uh, adjacent areas, try to move into them.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a big, a nice framework to develop yourself, develop into your adjacent areas. This increases your leadership arena, or like whole of the topic. So try to, in short, try to come out of your comfort zones. And I can say that from my experience and my journey so far. So you can just assume that how different it's in Navy, and then how different it's in corporate world, and then in corporate world how different it is in working in design change management and vehicle assembly in quality and all, and then completely then moving into software implementations or understanding softwares, learning new things, and then moving towards sales. So it has been quite a journey, and I try to learn new things and not shy away from venturing into the new areas.
Phenomenal. So what I've gathered is always live in wonder, right? The second one is keep your anger in control and learn to handle your primordial or the ancient brain. And the third one is always look to move into adjacent areas, like a little beyond what your usual is, so that you can keep learning and you can keep expanding your available horizon. Is that correct?
Absolutely. You summarized it very well, Vivek. I could not have done myself. Thank you.
Thank you. Sunil, this has been an amazing conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, your insights. And I do know that a lot of learners will take away with some very good key takeaways from this one. For your time and your wisdom, thank you for being on this show, Sunil.
Thank you, Vivek. I was glad to be here. Thank you.